I know I talked about eating 3 to 4 hours, enough to probably make you all want to vomit from last week. But again, it is essential to your success. And it's so important that I'm going to talk about it again today. And what I want to show you here is a blood sugar level chart that is essential to understand. So along the left-hand side are blood sugar levels that are going to go up over time, and then along the X scale down here are numbers that represent hours. So you can see from this chart there are three zones. There's a weight gain zone, there's a fat burning zone, and then there's the constant hunger cravings and fatigue zone. Well, it probably doesn't take a real rocket scientist to figure out that our goal over time is to try to maintain a blood sugar level within the fat burning zone during all waking hours. And up to this point, it's important that you understand that you need to eat every 3 to 4 hours. And from this point forward, we need to talk about how you combine certain foods in order to stay within this fat burning zone. Because yeah, it's enough to know that it's important to eat every 3 to 4 hours. But if you're not combining foods in the right amounts, all right, combining certain carbohydrates, fats, and proteins in the right amounts, then you're not going to optimally stay in this fat burning zone and do it efficiently. So we're going to talk today and begin to talk about that fact, how and what's involved with combining those foods so that you can stay within the fat burning zone during all waking hours. So let's, for example, say that we had a piece of 100% whole wheat bread. Well, what happens over time, as soon as you eat that bread, your blood sugar is going to rise. And because that's a pure carbohydrate source, your blood sugar is going to rise higher into this weight gaining zone than it would if we combined it with some other foods. All right, but again, we just had this piece of bread. Well, when your blood sugar rises to a level that's not healthy, or that, a dangerous zone, which is above 100 here, we have a hormone that's released called insulin. And insulin is a good guy. It's not bad. It's designed to help us, survive and to stay out of that danger zone. But when we have something that's high in carbohydrates that gets converted to sugar as quickly as what bread does, we have to release insulin to prevent sugar levels, your blood sugar levels, from getting too high into the dangerous zone. So when you have that bread, it gets digested very quickly, causing blood sugar to rise over time pretty quickly. Insulin steps in and causes that sugar then to be pushed into your cell. And when that happens, it then lowers your blood sugar. And it does so very quickly because of that pure carbohydrate source. And this is something that is not necessarily good for those of you who want to lose weight and stay in that fat burning zone. All right? We want to avoid this. So we need to combine our foods together so that we have a nice mix of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Because when you combine carbohydrates, fats, and proteins together, you don't get this effect so much. Your body will rise your blood sugar levels, or raise your blood sugar levels into a fat burning zone, keep it there over a longer period of time, and then it's going to obviously drive it back down, which signals to you it's time to eat again, which is why it's so important to eat every 3 to 4 hours. So please note, all right, you had a piece of bread, it drives your blood sugar up, insulin's released, it drives your blood sugar back down, probably within an hour or less than an hour. All right, that's not what we want. That's not going to promote success. Let's, for example, now say that we combined our piece of bread with some peanut butter. All right, peanut butter has a nice balance of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins with the bread that's already a pure carbohydrate. And this is an example of what this would look like over time. Because we have a nice mix of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins, blood sugar gets released much slower over time. And another benefit to that is that it's going to stay within this fat burning zone for a longer period of time. Insulin is still released, not nearly as high or as much as what was released with just the bread, and it over time is going to drive your blood sugar back down. But do you see how much longer this takes now? Because we combined a fat, carbohydrate, and protein together, you get a much slower rise and steady state of blood sugar because those foods are combined properly. And now, after about 3 hours, that whole meal or snack is digested, and your blood sugar falls back down into the hunger, craving, and fatigue zone. which means that it's time to eat again. And that's why eating every 3 to 4 hours is so important, is because we need to combine foods in a certain amount to keep yourself in that fat burning zone. Over time, it's naturally going to lower back down, and that's when it's time to eat again. So this is an essential lesson to understand, because you need to learn how to regulate this stuff. So let's go back and let's just use another example. All right, let's just say now that we had an awesome apple. Okay, we had a medium apple. You know that a medium apple is the size of a tennis ball. Maybe this is that size, maybe it's not. But an apple, just like that piece of bread, is going to get digested very quickly because it's a pure carbohydrate. And chances are that apple is going to make your blood sugar go above that zone. Okay, insulin's going to step in a higher amount because it's in that dangerous zone. Your body's going to rise that blood sugar. Insulin's going to say, whoa, here, let's go back down. This is too high. It's going to cause you to crash within an hour, and you're going to be in that constant hunger, cravings, and fatigue again. Okay? But if we now had some peanut butter with that apple, again, you know what's going to happen. There's going to be a longer, slower release of sugar, and over time, it's going to release insulin just like before, but not in as high a quantity, and then it's going to drive that blood sugar back down over time, and by that time, it's going to be once again time for you to feed your body with a healthy meal or snack. So this is going to kick off what we're going to start talking about now when I start showing you healthy meals and snacks, how you prepare them. This really, I think, drives that whole thing and that whole point across. Our goal is to stay within this fat burning zone. And we do that by eating every 3 to 4 hours. And we do that by combining fats, carbohydrates, and proteins in the right amounts to keep yourself in this fat burning zone, so that during all waking hours, you're within this zone as much as possible. And this is going to breed success over the long term. So on Friday, we're going to get into actually creating that first breakfast, and I'm going to show you how you can combine different components, different products into an optimal health, a perfect breakfast to get you started off on the right foot each and every day. All right, so I'll see you Friday, and I'll talk about that with you then. Bye-bye.